Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Tsunami of trauma cases stretching resources in hospitals. For several hospitals across the island, trauma cases have been putting a heavy strain on medical resources, frustrating doctors and other medical personnel, and costing the government considerable financial expenditure to provide care for victims. Though Chief Medical Officer in the Ministry of Health and Wellness Dr. Jacqueline Bisosa Mackenzie was not able to provide the annual cost for trauma cases at public hospitals, she said just one trauma case can have a team of doctors and nurses around that patient for hours. In fact, one official report in 2017, the Cost of Care report prepared by the Violence Prevention Alliance in collaboration with the Health Ministry and other agencies, saw Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton commenting that trauma cases account for 59% of the ministry's resources. The resources that it takes up, lab works, radiology works, use of operating theatre, possible intensive care, the cost is significant, Dr. Bisosa Mackenzie explained. Dr. Bisosa Mackenzie added that multiple trauma patients require more resources. For instance, a gunshot usually injures one part of the body. Now, of course, that one part of the body may be the neck, and it may go through the cervical spine, and that could end up losing a lot of resources, she said. The 4 healthcare facilities from which the Observer obtained statistics up to October of this year are Spanish Town in St. Catherine, Maypen in Clarendon, Princess Margaret in St. Thomas, and Mandeville Regional Hospital in Manchester. At Spanish Town Hospital, there were 1,500 motor vehicle accidents, 255 stab wounds, 479 blunt injuries, 156 gunshot wounds, 249 intentional laceration, 97 other assaults, 7 sexual assaults, rape, 63 attempted suicides, 905 accidental lacerations, 24 fires, 12 chemical burns, 47 hot liquid injuries, 14 intentional burns, 24 other burns, 59 animal bites, 18 human bites, 3 drowning, near drowning, and 1,380 falls. The list was provided by Jacqueline Ellis, CEO at Spanish Town Hospital, and her team members. The medical team reported that trauma cases constitute at least 10% of patients who are present to the A&E department. The officials said the hospital grapples with the novel corona pandemic. There is an added strain on resources. It is like a tsunami engulfing our already stretched human resources. A significant consequence is the cost of the other patients who present with non-traumatic illness and often must have their treatment delayed while the more urgent trauma cases are cared for. The hospital's already limited resources must be utilized to save these lives in the moment, and sometimes that is little left to take care of the patients who are waiting with non-traumatic illnesses, the medical team stated. At Maypen Hospital, data from a senior medical officer showed there were 555 motor vehicle accidents, 51 gunshots, 52 stab wounds, 43 rapes, 100 intentional lacerations, 214 unintentional lacerations, 24 attempted suicides, 410 blunt injuries, 6 human bites, and 90 other assaults. The medical officer explained that at times, trauma cases require intensive care which is not offered at the hospital. We are sometimes unable to transfer patients and end up losing the ventilator from the main operating theatre to keep patients alive until space is available at the receiving hospital. This results in elective patient surgeries being postponed and emergency patients being delayed. The staff is also overworked, and there are only a few specialist nurses available to manage critical patients, the medical officer stated. Meanwhile, at Mandeville Regional Hospital, data provided by Senior Medical Officer Dr. Everton McIntosh showed there were 595 motor vehicle accidents, 11 gunshot wounds, 51 stabbing, 102 blunt trauma injuries, 31 sexual assaults, and 130 other assaults. Speaking about the use of medical supplies, Dr. McIntosh said trauma cases typically consume large amounts of supplies, including disposables, oxygen, drugs, and blood. The consumption and blood products by trauma cases will often force the cancellation of postponement of major surgeries due to the lack of blood, he shared. He also noted that trauma cases require a lot of time in the operating theater for emergency surgeries, which often contributes to the cancellation or postponement of elective surgeries. Meanwhile, at Princess Margaret Hospital, information received from the senior management team shows that there were 482 motor vehicle accidents, 34 stab wounds, 87 blunt injuries, 24 gunshot wounds, 80 intentional lacerations, 312 other assaults, 390 accidental lacerations, 4 chemical burns, 27 hot liquid injuries, 97 animal bites, 23 human bites, 8 intentional bites, and 515 falls. At all 4 hospitals, information received indicates there is usually an upward trend in trauma cases during public holidays such as Easter, Independence, and Christmas. Twice the trauma for a young victim of car crashes. The dates March 17 and November 26 of 2020 mark 2 traumatic experiences that Antoine Campbell will never forget. On both days, the 22-year-old met in motor vehicle accidents while traveling by taxi in the corporate era. Now he is too traumatized to take that mode of transportation again. Both experiences were very traumatic. The first left him so traumatized that it took 2 weeks for him to travel via taxi again. The second caused me to be seriously affected mentally. I haven't taken another taxi since then, not even chartered ones, Campbell explained. He said in the first incident, he was in a taxi traveling to the University of the West Indies, Mona, from Rossville Avenue, St. Andrew. A car that was exiting a parking lot slammed into the taxi on my side. The taxi then swerved and hit a light pole, he said. For the second incident, Campbell said he was traveling to Halfway Tree on a taxi from Spanish Town Road. 2 cars were racing next to the taxi. This caused my taxi to stop, and the car behind hit the back of it. Then a truck hit the same car, causing it to hit the taxi again, he said. I dislocated my shoulder in the first accident and may need surgery to fix it. The second one, I sustained a lower back injury. Now I can no longer lift any heavy weights without risk of worsening my injuries, he said, noting that he was taken to Kingston Public Hospital after both crashes. Now Campbell only takes bus operated by the Jamaica Urban Transit Company. Consultant psychologist Dr. Arlene Brown-Earl reported that it is absolutely necessary for trauma victims to get psychological support. You would have to teach individuals how to think again. A psychologist would possibly use cognitive therapy and behavioral therapy to help individuals to renew their minds. Remember, if you are not thinking sensibly or logically, there is no way that you are going to start to do the things that you are supposed to do correctly, she said. Brown-Earl said it is more difficult to deal with trauma victims who have experienced the same incidents more than once. By the time they start dealing with one situation, something else comes up. They haven't fully healed from one thing, and that's what happens. We refer to this as chronic trauma when there is repeated and prolonged exposure to stressful events like child abuse, bullying, and domestic violence, she said. Giving an example of those victims, she said, somebody who have been raped and they get raped again, experience multiple car accidents, or find themselves in a situation where somebody comes and robs them and it happens to them again. Nasha Monique Douglas, the Chief Marketing Officer for Digicel, talks about the Digicel Business Masterclass series, brand building, and more.
So the Digicel Business Masterclass series, what is that about? Give us the rundown.
Okay, so you guys know how we do. We try to find new, interesting, and innovative ways to connect with our consumers. And Digicel Business, actually our local general manager, Dara, said he needs to find a way to still keep connected to his customers, but in a much more interactive way that helps to develop the full self, right? Not just your business, but you. And so we decided to come up with a webinar series, and Digicel Business Masterclass series, came out of that. If you notice the lineup, most of the guys that are on it are customers, but they're also masters of their craft. So we didn't want to just hear what they were doing to manage COVID or their successes, but we wanted to know what drives them as people. So we wanted a much more personal touch.
All right, so you said that Dara, the local manager here for Digicel Business, wanted a way to connect with the customers. Now, the way that Digicel is presenting the Masterclass series, so far you've presented 3 episodes and it has been getting raving reviews. What inspired the way you decided to go about it?
So Dara will tell you that I'm the most expensive girlfriend to date. Why? Because I love beautiful things, right? I'm not going to do something that everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And we all know that content has been pushed down on us since March 10th. Since COVID, everybody has gone digital in how they present information to you. But for me, it started to become overwhelming. Like, so one of my favorite channels is clearly LinkedIn. And it was overwhelming, the amount of masterclasses or webinar series or trainings and I said, how could we stand out in all of that clutter and present something that is meaningful, right? Because yes, do I want to drive aggressive sales to the digital business unit? Absolutely. But that wasn't the number one for us.
Yeah.
We wanted to find a way where we could connect with potential customers, existing customers in a very meaningful way. So of course, how it looked, the session is very interactive. So we do it live. And there is the host that is amazing, Terry Carell. And she interviews the guests, not just us having somebody stand there for an hour telling you what to do, but to really drive the nuggets. Now, the most important piece of this execution, which is why it's live, is customer feedback in real time, right? So the questions that are being asked come from people via social media or via the web link that we have where you can register for the entire series. So we're putting it out there in a very interactive way. So that is what the shift is between us and everybody else is. Because I don't think people expected the kind of stories that they're getting from some of the speakers that they would have always heard about, but they didn't know what drives them personally or where they got their start.
All right. No, I love that. Who are some of the speakers who were featured already, and who can people expect to come on eventually?
So we kicked off the series with one of my favorite CEOs. His name is Richard Pandui. He's the CEO for Seprod, and he's also the president for the JMEA, which is the Jamaica Manufacturing and Export Association of Jamaica. And let me tell you something. Richard is who set the course for how the Masterclass series is going to be executed, because he was just phenomenal. I was next, so naturally going after that magic, I was quite nervous, but Terry did a very good job. I spoke around brand building. Aileen Corrigan, our head of digital for the group, spoke about digital transformation. Now, the next set of speakers are some of my favorite people from this island that if you know them, you know that it's people that you want to hear, but that you probably never heard from before, or in this kind of setting. So coming up this week, this Thursday, we have Gary Parrott, who is the managing director for Mayberry Investments, and so his topic is on money-o.
Yeah.
Definitely tuning in.
We all want to know those nuggets behind. Do you invest in COVID?
Right.
Yeah. He's going to give you very real world examples on how to handle your money. After him, we have Christopher Williams from Proven, another one of my favorites. And you're going to get much more of a life conversation from Chris. We then have Marcus Steele, who used to be the CEO for British Tobacco. And he's going to talk about productivity and balance, which is phenomenal. We had him speak in an internal session for the staff, and after hearing him and seeing the feedback from the staff, we said we had to put him on the lineup. And then we end the series with a very important, secret, lovely human being who everybody knows and loves. And you're going to get a completely different vibe on this person when you see his Masterclass series. But I'm not willing to release that one yet.
Okay. All right. All right. I was going to ask if we can't get a peep, but it's okay, Nasha. We'll tune in.
Right.
We'll tune in until we get there.
I'm giving Loop exclusive, but I'm not ready to do it yet. But you guys will know for everybody else for sure.
All right. We'll look out for that for sure. So tell us when and where can we view the Masterclass series?
Okay. So you can go to digicelbusinesssolutions.com. and you can sign up for the series there. And when you sign up for the series, you get the link. to watch all of the series, but you also get access to all the content from the previous series. So that is one place. Also, if you just happen to be hitting up Instagram on a Thursday at 6 p.m., then you can also see it live on Digicel Jamaica's Instagram page.
All right, so Nasha, let's talk about you, right? Because I don't know if you remember, but we've crossed paths before. And I heard of Nasha. Like Nasha is a verb, is a noun, is an adjective, because you've done magnificent work in the area of marketing in Jamaica, spanning over 18 years. So I want to know, how did you assert yourself in the industry in the way you have, and how can people just get to that point?
So, and I'm sure different people who know me will tell you different things, but I'll give you my journey in a nutshell. I actually started, so I've always wanted to be in marketing, right? I just didn't know what it was called when I was 5. I just remember at 5, and this is a very vivid memory, loving to pull together pieces of creative on cartridge paper. I think my parents still have them to this day, which would be a disaster. But I used to love doing that, and that's having my own magazine layouts, and always loved creativity through art. And I remember in high school, my art teacher said, "You're really good at this, but you're not going to ever make a living out of this, so you need to figure out how to evolve it," which is not a thing for a teacher to say, but it was probably the best lesson, because I also loved business subjects. So accounting, math, POB were also subjects I was really, really strong at, and English. So as I'm looking for schools now where I can evolve whatever craft this is, I found the best interactive, functional marketing school. Okay, that's how my brain works, right? I can't study in a book. I want to be on the ground running from day one. And it was in Boston called Emerson College. So I did my bachelor's in marketing. 4 years, did great, loved it. Could I find a job in it when I was done? Of course not. Because marketing is not the easiest industry to get in on.
Right.
And I'm overseas, and I really wanted the years of experience there. And it was just, I wasn't finding the right fit. So, of course, my parents got word, and they're like, "Come home." And I'm like, "Nope, I'm not done yet." And I decided to do my master's in political management in DC. And why? Because 9/11 happened. So it changed the course of how I viewed life. And I wanted something more meaningful for me. And I just happened to find a course that married both of my worlds. And it was around corporate affairs. So it is, I want my company to make money, and I want them to look good doing it, but I also want to give back to people. So I've kind of pushed all of these desires into one core function for me. Now, when I moved back home, there's only one company, right? There's only one company where you can actually dive deep into marketing and really make a name for yourself. And that was Digicel. So in 2006, I started here as an exec. I was here for about 3 years, and then just kind of maneuvered my way through corporate Jamaica in telecoms, in home services, and then in alcohol beverage, which was where I was for the last 8 years. Now, I tell people this all the time. What is the one thing that I think differentiates me from most people in the field? I am a true believer in authenticity, right? So when you meet me, this is who you get. In all aspects of my life, and that is how I view my work too, because I wanted to connect with you as the consumer, so it has to be real. I also want to connect with you as by knowing exactly what triggers you, what's your desires, what are those deep-rooted things that motivate and inspire you as a human being. That is how I do my work, because it won't make sense if our desires are not lined up, right? And so I tell people all the time, realness is what gets it. Telling that story in a very real way and bringing your products and services to life in a way that impacts the consumer on a personal level. Sorry, that's a lot.
No.
No, for a powerhouse of a personal brand as you are.
I get excited when I talk about brand building, guys. So
I love it. It was. No. I just had a moment there, like just listening to the story.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and being able to connect with your story as well.
Yeah.
Now, you were on Masterclass episode 2, and you just said that, you get carried away when you talk about brand building. So let's get carried away a little bit more and share 3 tips that you have for businesses about building a brand in this time. How do they build a brand or sustain a brand during this time?
Okay. The first thing for me is identifying who your target audience is. I said it in the masterclass. You cannot market to everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
That will drive you crazy. Just like everybody can't like you. Right? Can't be a pleaser, people pleaser. It just doesn't work in marketing. You have
Precisely.
to identify who that core target is. Because I'm already assuming that you understand what the goal for your business is, which is really the number one of this whole thing. What are you trying to achieve? And who will get you there? And the how and the why and the when and the where, right?
Yes.
So if you establish those things first, then life should be easy. The problem that most businesses face is that you try to be everything for everybody, which is virtually impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because you can't understand the nuances of 3 million people. Because I'm talking about our market, so 3.7 million people. You have to decide, okay, I really want 18 to 24, predominantly male, because this is the product that is, that's male driven, or women, whatever it is. And then you design a plan, right? And I'm a big believer in a solid 3-year plan. You design a plan that hits the marks for everything that's needed for that customer on their customer journey. Where did they buy you? How did they find you? Those type of things.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
I feel like
Natasha.
I'm like a lecture.
You feel like you learned something.
Like every time she finishes talking and I'm supposed to, I'm like, can you go on?
Yeah,
can you continue?
more, please.
And I'm here trying to not talk you guys out.
Listen,
No,
talk.
talk us out.
but no. So back to the masterclass, because Nasha needs to stop talking.
Does she have to?
Right? When and where can we access the Digicel Business Masterclass series?
Yeah, tell us one more time.
So we have several parts of the masterclass, right? If you go on our LinkedIn page, which is Digicel Business Jamaica, all the information is there. Or you can go on our digicelbusiness.com website and you can literally sign up. It takes 2 minutes to sign up for the rest of the series, which will just give you access. Like, we'll send you information directly if you do it that way. And if you're like me and you can't plan your life and you're just winging it, then you can jump on at 6 p.m. every Thursday on Digicel Jamaica's IG page.
Okay.
Because we go live there, but we also go live on the link. And then but my thing is, why I keep pushing people to the link, is that you get all the content after if you miss it.
Nice.
And you get all the notifications. And we have a couple of really cool things coming up if you actually do your homework, because this is not a free masterclass. It's free in terms of cost, but the cost to you is actually doing the work. We ask a bunch of questions after each class, and that gives you the ability to enter into a competition where we select people who will be mentored by one of our masterclass leaders, right?
I love that.
That's going to be a big deal. We haven't launched it yet, so I'm actually just talking about it now, and they're all going to
Exclusive.
the fast track the promotions on that. But in doing the first masterclass with Richard Pandui, one thing he brought up that he says needs to be more accessible is around mentorship, and he's absolutely right?
Yes.
And it's not easy for everybody. Not everybody have access to mentors, especially mentors like this. And so what we wanted to do is to, when we finalize the series, is to give at least 7 people an opportunity to be mentored by one of these speakers.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.